The city skyline, a monument to ambition, a testament to dreams built from concrete and steel. But beneath the glittering towers, shadows linger. My name is David. By day, I'm an architect, shaping this city with blueprints and vision. But when the sun sets and darkness calls, I become something else. The city's guardian. My tools aren't just pencils and rulers. They're strength, speed, and an unshakable will to protect the innocent. This is my story. The sirens wailed, a familiar song of chaos echoing through the concrete canyons. I was just wrapping up a late-night design session, the aroma of coffee still hanging in my office air. Then, the news report flashed across my screen. A residential block, one of my own designs, was under attack. A structural collapse, they said, but I knew better. The tremors I felt weren't from faulty foundations. They were deliberate, rhythmic, and filled with malice. I didn't hesitate. The black suit was on in seconds. The familiar weight of it, a grim comfort. The sleeves rolled up, revealing the intricate tattoos that tell the story of my past. My afro bounced as I leaped from my balcony. The city lights a blur beneath my Air Force Ones. Wind whipped past my face, the adrenaline surging. The building was in the distance, smoke billowing into the night sky. People were trapped. Fear was a tangible thing in the air, a scent I knew all too well. Landing on a nearby rooftop, I saw him, a hulking figure in a mechanized exosuit, tearing through support columns like they were paper. He called himself the foreman. His laughter was a grating, metallic sound that sent shivers down my spine. Debris rained down as he ripped a massive steel beam from the structure, preparing to bring the whole thing down. He was pure destruction, a twisted mockery of the creation I held so dear. "Hey!" I yelled, my voice cutting through the chaos. "Picking on a building, why don't you try someone your own size?" He turned, his helmet's visor glowing a malevolent red. "The architect," he growled, his voice distorted by speakers. "I was hoping you'd show up. I'm here to deconstruct your legacy, piece by painful piece." He charged, the ground shaking with each step. This wasn't just a fight, it was a clash of ideologies. The creator versus the destroyer. I met his charge head on, my fist connected with his armored chest, the impact sending a shockwave through my arm. It was like punching a mountain. He swiped at me with the steel beam, a monstrous club that could pulverize anything in its path. I ducked and weaved, my architectural knowledge giving me an edge. I knew the building's layout, its stress points, its weaknesses, and I knew his suit had to have them, too. He was strong, unnaturally so. Every blow he landed felt like a wrecking ball. He threw a car at me, and I caught it, the metal groaning under the strain before I hurled it aside. "Your strength is impressive," he sneered, "but it's crude, unrefined. True power lies in demolition." He activated a set of hydraulic pistons on his arms, their power multiplying tenfold. He was tearing the building apart, destabilizing it with every move. I had to end this, and fast. The civilians were my priority. Using my speed, I zipped through the crumbling floors, guiding terrified residents to safety, clearing paths through the rubble. "Go. Get out now," I urged them, my voice a calm anchor in their storm of panic. A little girl was trapped under a fallen concrete slab. Her mother cried out, helpless. The foreman just laughed, enjoying the despair. With a roar, I lifted the slab, my muscles screaming in protest. The little girl scrambled out, and I pushed her towards her mother. "He's not a monster," the girl whispered, looking at me. "He's a hero." Those words fueled me. I turned back to the foreman, my resolve hardened into steel. This wasn't about my legacy, it was about theirs. It was about the future I was trying to build. "You want to see real power, foreman?" I called out, landing on the street before him. "It's not in tearing things down, it's in protecting what's been built." I analyzed his suit, tracing the power conduits, the hydraulic lines, the weak points in the joints. It was just another structure, another design flaw waiting to be exploited. He charged again, confident in his brute force. But this time, I was ready. I didn't meet his force with force. I moved like water, flowing around his attacks. A precise strike to the hydraulic joint in his knee, another to the power pack on his back. Sparks flew. His suit sputtered, one leg locking up. He stumbled, his balance compromised. He swung wildly, but his movements were sluggish now. "Impossible," he roared in frustration. "Every structure has a breaking point," I said, my voice calm as I faced him down. I leaped, using a fallen wall as a ramp. and delivered a final, calculated blow to the central processor on his chest plate. The exosuit short-circuited with a loud bang, the red light in his helmet flickering out. The metal behemoth crashed to the ground, silent and inert. The foreman was defeated. As the first responders arrived, I blended back into the shadows. The news crews were already calling me a national hero, the savior of the neighborhood. But as I stood on a distant rooftop, looking at the damage, I knew this was just the beginning. The foreman was a symptom of a deeper problem, an echo of a darkness that wanted to see my city, my world, crumble. They can call me a hero, but I'm just an architect, and I will not let my foundation fall. The rise of the architect has just begun. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode. The city skyline was my canvas, each building a testament to my vision. I am David, an architect, but my blueprints hold more than just steel and glass. They hold the future. Tonight, that future was stolen. My lab, once a sanctuary of creation, was now a scene of violation. The alarms shrieked, a symphony of my failure. Glass crunched under my Air Force Ones as I surveyed the damage. My custom-built microtech, the heart of my next project, was gone. There was only one person with the access and audacity to do this, the foreman. He was a good man once, but greed had twisted him into a shadow of his former self. He thought he could just disappear, melt away into the Durban night. He was wrong. I slammed the laptop shut. The tracker was live. A single red dot pulsed on the screen, moving steadily towards the port. The neon-lit maze of shipping containers and forgotten warehouses. A perfect place to get lost, or to make a deal. I rolled up the sleeves of my black suit. The intricate tattoos on my arms, a roadmap of my own past. This wasn't just about stolen tech anymore. It was personal. He had crossed a line, violated my trust, and threatened the very fabric of the city I swore to build. I grabbed my keys, the engine of my car roaring to life, a beast ready to be unleashed. The chase was on. The salty air of the port hit me as I stepped out of the car. The symphony of the city was replaced by the lonely cry of gulls and the groan of shifting cargo. Neon signs from seedy bars cast long, dancing shadows, making the alleyways look like hungry mouths. I pulled up the tracker on my phone. The red dot was stationary, deep within a labyrinth of stacked containers. He was here. I adjusted my frameless glasses, the world sharpening into focus. Every shadow could hide an enemy, every sound a potential threat. My heart hammered against my ribs, a steady drumbeat in the quiet chaos. This was his turf, but I was the architect of this takedown. I moved silently, a ghost in the industrial graveyard. The path was a treacherous obstacle course of discarded pallets and rusted chains. I could hear voices now, low and urgent, echoing between the steel walls. One of them was the foreman's, the other was gravelly, unfamiliar, a buyer. I flattened myself against the container, peering around the corner. There they were, bathed in the sickly green glow of an emergency light. The foreman held up my microtech, its intricate circuits gleaming. The buyer, a mountain of a man in a worn leather jacket, grunted in approval. Time to crash their party. I kicked a loose pipe, sending it clattering across the concrete. Both men spun around, their eyes wide with alarm. "Looking for this," I said, stepping out of the shadows, holding up a decoy device I'd built for just such an occasion. The foreman's face went pale. "David, I can explain." Before he could finish, the buyer lunged, a blade flashing in his hand. I sidestepped, using his momentum to throw him into a stack of oil drums. He went down with a crash, but the foreman was already scrambling up a nearby ladder. He wasn't getting away I sprinted, launching myself onto the same ladder, climbing 2 rungs at a time. The wind whipped at my suit, my afro a wild halo in the moonlight. We were 20 feet up, a deadly catwalk of corrugated metal between towering stacks of containers. The foreman was fast, but I was relentless. He glanced back, his face a mask of desperation. He made a jump for the next container, a risky leap of faith. He landed hard, stumbling but staying on his feet. He thought he'd lost me, but I'm an architect. I see the angles, the supports, the stress points. I took a different path. Instead of following his jump, I ran along the edge of my container and used a swinging crane hook to propel myself across the gap. I landed silently right behind him. He turned, his eyes widening in pure shock as my fist connected with his jaw. He staggered back, dropping the case containing my microtech. It skidded precariously close to the edge. We both lunged for it. Our hands met on the handle, a desperate tug-of-war on the edge of a steel cliff. The city lights of Durban glittered below us, a beautiful, indifferent audience to our struggle. "It's over," I grunted, twisting his arm until he cried out and let go. I snatched the case, securing it. But as I turned, the buyer was back, climbing the container with surprising agility for a man his size. He brandished his knife, a predator's grin on his face. Now I was caught between them. The foreman saw his chance, pulling a small, heavy wrench from his belt. 2 on 1. The odds weren't great, but I've built towers against stronger forces than this. I set my feet, the case with my life's work held tight in one hand, the other fist raised. The night was far from over. I ducked as the foreman swung the wrench, the metal whistling past my ear. I spun, using the momentum to land a kick that sent him stumbling back. The buyer charged, knife first. I dropped, letting him trip over my outstretched leg. He sprawled forward, his knife skittering away. I was up in an instant, but the foreman was back, his eyes wild. He wasn't fighting for money anymore. He was fighting like a cornered animal. This port was his kingdom, and I was the usurper. The fight devolved into a raw, brutal exchange of blows atop the containers. But with every move, I was analyzing, calculating, designing my victory. Finally, with a decisive move, I disarmed the foreman and sent him tumbling into a pile of discarded netting below. He was tangled but safe. The buyer, seeing his partner defeated, made a run for it, disappearing into the maze of steel. I let him go. He wasn't my target. I stood there, catching my breath, the cool night air a balm on my skin. The case was secure. My vision was safe. I looked out over the city, my city. This was just one shadow, one crack in the foundation, but I would fix it. I am David, the architect, and I will protect my creation, one blueprint, one battle at a time. This is only the beginning. Stay tuned for the rise of the architect. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. The sirens blared, but their screams were just whispers against the groaning steel of the Horizon Tower. My tower, my masterpiece of glass and light, now listing like a dying giant. Down below, chaos reigned. People ran, their faces masks of terror, as dust and debris rained down. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the symphony of destruction. This was his doing. The foreman. I saw him on a rooftop across the street, a silhouette against the fire and smoke, a sick grin plastered on his face. He'd rigged the foundations, planting explosives with a coward's precision. He wanted to bring my dream crashing down, to bury my legacy in a mountain of rubble. But he underestimated me. I'm not just an architect, I'm a builder, and I will not let my city fall. My sleeves were already rolled up, the tattoos on my arms coiling like serpents. I ditched the suit jacket, my Air Force Ones pounding the pavement as I sprinted towards the disaster zone. Police tried to hold me back, their warnings lost in the roar. They didn't understand. I was the only one who could stop this. The tower's schematics weren't just on paper, they were etched into my mind. Every beam, every joint, every pane of glass. I vaulted over a crushed taxi, my muscles burning. The tower groaned again, a gut-wrenching sound of tortured metal. It was shedding its glass skin, glittering shards falling like deadly rain. One had to get to the sublevels, to the primary structural supports. If I could reinforce them, I could create a counterbrace, a new skeleton to hold the old one up. It was insane. It was impossible, but it was the only shot I had. The ground floor was a war zone of shattered marble and sparking wires. I dodged a falling light fixture, the explosion of glass deafening. Smoke filled my lungs, acrid and thick. Through my frameless glasses, my eyes scanned the damage, calculating, processing. The foreman had targeted the core columns on the eastern side, a classic, brutal approach. He wanted it to topple, to domino through the financial district. I found the service elevator shaft, the doors pried open like a broken jaw. The car was gone, plummeted to the depths. Perfect. I grabbed onto the thick cables, the greasy steel, a grim comfort in my hands. My arms and back screamed in protest as I began my descent, sliding into the darkness, into the belly of my wounded beast. Each floor I passed was a snapshot of a nightmare offices torn apart, fires raging, the ghostly flicker of computer screens. Landing in the sub-basement felt like hitting rock bottom, literally. The air was thick with the smell of ozone and concrete dust. Emergency lights cast long, dancing shadows, and there it was, the heart of the damage. 3 of the main load-bearing columns were fractured, rebar twisted and exposed like broken bones. The structure was in critical failure. I had minutes, maybe seconds. I slammed my palm against a wall panel, overriding the security lock. A section slid open, revealing my secret workshop, my forge. This tower wasn't just built with concrete and steel. It was built with vision. Inside were spools of my proprietary light steel alloy, a material I invented. Lighter than aluminum, stronger than titanium, and malleable when charged. This was my ace in the hole. Grabbing the induction projectors, I aimed them at the spools. The alloy hummed, glowing with a brilliant blue energy. It unspooled like metallic silk, weaving through the air at my command, guided by the neural interface linked to my glasses. I was no longer just an architect. I was a conductor, and this light steel was my orchestra. A lattice began to form, a web of shimmering blue energy in metal. It shot upwards, threading through the wreckage. It wrapped around the compromised columns, reinforcing them. It branched out, creating new supports, new trusses, a floating skeleton of pure energy and strength. I was building a new tower inside the old one, right in the middle of its collapse. The groaning of the building began to change. The high-pitched shriek of failure was replaced by a low, resonant hum as the light steel lattice took the strain. The fall was slowing. I could feel it through the soles of my sneakers, the vibrations lessening, but it wasn't enough. The damage was too severe. Up above, I heard another series of explosions. The foreman wasn't done. He was taking out the upper floors, trying to increase the top-heavy momentum. The maniac. I had to go bigger. I channeled more power, sweat beading on my forehead. The lattice expanded, climbing higher and higher, a glowing tree of life growing through the spine of the dying skyscraper. Then, from the shadows of the basement, his goons emerged, thugs armed with crowbars and worse. The foreman didn't want any witnesses to my miracle. I spun around, grabbing a discarded piece of rebar. My fight wasn't just with gravity anymore. The first one swung a pipe at my head. I ducked, sweeping his legs out from under him. The second came at me with a knife. I parried with the rebar, the clang of metal echoing in the concrete tomb. While my mind guided the lattice, my body moved on pure instinct. It was a brutal dance of survival. I was an architect, a man of precision and design, but I grew up on the streets of Johannesburg, and I hadn't forgotten how to fight. One by one, they went down. Battered, but not broken, I turned my attention back to the tower. It had stabilized. The fall had been arrested. The tower stood, scarred but upright, cradled in a shimmering web of blue light. Silence fell over the city as people stared in awe. From across the street, I could feel the foreman's rage. He had lost. I had saved my dream. As emergency crews finally reached me, one of the dazed thugs I had taken down muttered something. He said the foreman wasn't the true boss. He was just a pawn. Someone else, someone with deep pockets, had funded this whole operation. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. They tried to destroy my creation, to tear down my symbol of progress. Now, they have my full attention. I'm David, and I don't just build towers. I build the future, and I will defend it, no matter the cost. My rise has just begun. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode.